Bliss.io.
Hey, what's that?
Good morning, folks. Even though you're going to be, I know they're going to be seeing this at night. Anyhow, Huff can't make it today. He's at the hospital. Not because he's sick, but because he's an anesthesiologist. And when he gets called in, he has to go. But I'm here with Pops Van Zant, who has made this all possible, for which I am eternally grateful. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that's of great interest to many of my viewers and always has been, and that's how to make a comic. You know, comics are the simplest of all multimedia presentations, and they're suitable to any kind of story. Now, because of their origin with Superman and Batman and the Spirit et al., they've been associated with superheroes for all this time, and many people have a great love of superheroes. Everybody thinks they can do a comic, and everybody does. And 80% of them are superhero comics. And I've seen a lot of them. I won't tell you how I get my hands on them, but mysteriously I get my hands on them. And I have to say, most of them are anodyne. Anodyne means bland, kind of general, doesn't really make an impression. I also have to mention Sturgeon's Law. Theodore Sturgeon was a great science fiction writer. Sturgeon's Law is 90% of everything is crap. If you get streaming services, you know this is true. If you listen to radio, if you listen to music on the radio in your car, you know it's true. And if you read comics, you know it's true. 90% of everything is crap. Comics are the most transparent medium there are. And that's why it seems so simple to do them. When I get a superhero comic, and the first thing I see is powers, super strength, ability to jump a mile, my eyes glaze over. It's the same impression I get when I open the book and I see that the splash page is concealed by 500 words in 8 captions explaining what's going on. It's the same impression I get when I get a new comic and I open it up and I see 2 fantastic characters having a slug out on the first page, and the slug out continues for the entire 24-page story. They're all yelling things at each other like, "Ha, do you think you can fell me with your Midas touch? I say thee nay, foul believer, I will crush you with my obsidian egg," or whatever. And that's what the dialogue sounds like, because these people have learned to write dialogue by reading other comics.
There's only one bash from beginning to end book that I really like, and it has very little dialogue. And that's Thor 380, Simonson's Midgard Serpent versus Thor battle, where it's just splash page after splash page of awesome art and some kabooms. You know what I mean? They're not talking to each other. It's a straight up battle for the whole book. And it's a dollar bin book, Mike. It's all that splash art of, all them full page spreads of Simonson art. And it's a dollar bin book.
Well, Walter Simonson is a master of his craft, so that doesn't surprise me, and I wish I had that book. There are a lot of superhero comics that I enjoyed, and I thought this is really good, like Frank Miller's Daredevil, for example, or Alan Moore's Watchmen. Those are literate books that don't insult the reader. But to get back to the basics of comics, there's a couple of principles. If you want to do a comic, if you want to enjoy a comic, you'll be aware of this. You have to embrace, and one is your characters have to sound like real people talk. Mm-hmm. And that means that when you have a character that talks like Doc Doom, "Turn and face me, you worm, face the almighty power of the genius, the avatar, the dictator," blah, blah. That doesn't sound like real people talk. Now, it's okay if Stan Lee does it And Jack Kirby's illustrating it because the words he set down in context over 40 years ago live with us today. And the reason is they rose organically out of the narrative. So we can remember, face it, true believer, or no, face it, Tiger, you just won the jackpot. And it's clobbering time. And in
You
brightest,
know,
in darkest night, no evil shall escape my sight.
I actually have that Marvel Saga book with Mary Jane on the cover saying, "Face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot." I actually have a couple of those too, Mike, because my favorite books, if I see them again, I grab them again and again and again. You know, it's like, why not?
Well, people have a tendency to word associate, and that's why there's so many bad puns on the internet. But also they hear something and it strikes a chord, and they automatically regurgitate the first thing that comes to their mind. And a lot of it is bad punning. But when it comes to comic book writing, there are certain cliches that we've seen 1,000 times. I think I've warned this about this one so often that it's finally disappeared. But how many times have you read, "I don't think we're in Kansas anymore"?
Oh, man. That's one of the worst. There's a couple more, but that's definitely one of the worst. Um,
I got two more. One is "Move it, people." And the second one is "We have to talk."
oh,
Hey, now, Pops, carry on. Keep talking. I got to get this shirt off, and it's an ugly scene, so I'm going to just cut my camera while you
okay.
keep going. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Mike right now is
Say
whipping
something
his feet up.
substantive, Pops.
It must be pretty hot there. When we're talking about comics, camera on, camera on, camera off. Oh, we're gonna save him from that. Look. Camera came back on, Mike. I saved you, buddy. I saved you. This has been a technical, just a little tech break. No problem. We got this.
I'm back.
Wow. See how that worked? Your camera came back on, Mike. So I had to block it.
Oh, thank you, Pops. It must have been a hideous scene.
It's all right. I can edit that whole thing out. I can edit that whole part of the show.
When I broke into comics, and I did this with Nexus, which is how I broke into comics, I wrote for 25 years. I wrote by drawing each page out by hand. Now, I'm not a good artist. I'm a half-assed artist, but I'm good enough so that anybody can tell exactly what it is that I'm drawing. And so from that, they understood what they had to put in the panel. This is from a Bruce Lee comic I worked on.
Oh, I got all of those too.
See, now this is not great art. Nobody's claiming that it's great art. But when you look at the page, you see everything that belongs in that panel. You see all the dialogue and all the captions. And
Do you want me to grab the actual book and go to that page and show how it turned out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Which book is it? Which one is it?
Bruce Lee #1.
All right, let me grab that. I'll be right back. You keep talking.
All right. Well, it was illustrated by my good buddy Vale Myerick, whom I spoke with yesterday. We talk all the time, and Vale is an accomplished martial artist. And that's one of the reasons that the fight scenes are so good. When I set out to do martial arts comics, I was appalled by what they called martial arts in comics. I'd pick up Master of Kung Fu, and don't get me wrong, I love those books. I love Doug Mench's story. I love Paul Gulacy's art, but there was no Kung Fu in them. There were a few movie posters type posing with a kick here and a fist there, but there was no sequence of martial arts that enlightened the reader as to the technique involved. And that's one thing I feel I've brought to my fight scenes is real technique that shows the technique involved unfolding step by step.
Ooh, well, not. Oh, dang it. Get it right. Pops. Okay.
So that you see what's going on, and I might find one in here, but all right.
Which page was that now?
First
page?
Page 1. I don't know how you got that so quickly, Pops.
Page 1, I have a the karate tournament. They're outside.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can compare these. Just hang on a second.
Let me see. What do we got here? Page 1. Okay, I don't see the. Oh yeah, okay, I see it now. Yeah, definitely.
Hold it up.
All right, here we go. Page 1, right there. Dude holding his hands up, standing in the ring.
Yep.
There you go.
All right, now I was talking about choreographing a fight, and what page? This is page 14.
Let me see. All right, here we go. The page with the glass breaking at the top, or the next page? I can't really think.
It begins with Bruce ducking a punch. Oh, that ain't gonna help.
I got 11 and 12 that are a fight scene, and
let me go back and see.
Okay. 11 and 12 look good.
Well, yeah, but there's no fight scene there.
Oh yeah, they're fighting.
Oh, okay, here it is on page 11. I got page 11.
Yeah, page 11. There you go. Good stuff. See?
Yeah. Well, all right. So you say, well, I can't draw at all. And that doesn't matter. You can use stick figures. Why? Yeah. Because it's not necessarily, if you can't draw at all, it's not necessarily to the artist's benefit. It's for your benefit. This process teaches you. It teaches you so many things. The first thing it teaches you is how much a weight a page can bear. And by that, I mean, how many visuals, what kind of visuals, how many words. It's traditional to start a comic with a full page splash. I don't like to do that unless there's a real good reason. A real good reason would be the aerial view of a lost city in the Amazon jungle. That's worthy of a full page splash. And, you know, Carl Barks did that all the time. Carl Barks was the creator of Uncle Scrooge and drew Donald Duck and wrote them for years, and probably the greatest master to ever work in the form. If you ever want to understand comics, you just pick up Carl Barks' Donald Duck or Uncle Scrooge. There's not a wasted word or a picture in any of them. Barks was not a great traveler, but he was a lifelong subscriber to National Geographic, and that's where he got his visual inspiration for the many exotic locations he used. They look real because he was looking at real photographs of real places.
That makes completely, entirely good sense. Let me ask you a quick question, though, Mike.
Shoot.
Can you, your first comic?
Yeah.
First comic, not like, were you working for a company and you wrote? Were you collaborating with somebody to make something of your own? How did it come about? The first one, how did that come about, man? Because this lends to that. You see
I was attending the University of Wisconsin in my senior year, and one day there was a knock at the door. I went, there was this real tall guy there. And he said, "Are you Mike Barron?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'm Dennis Kitchen. I hear you want to do comics." So I started out doing a couple of articles for Dennis's publications, including Weird Tales. In fact, the very first thing I did was how to modify a water pistol to increase its capacity, its ammo zone, by cutting out the baffle and letting the whole thing fill with water. But then I started writing stories for his comic books. And he teamed me up with, oh man, I'm just drawing a blank here. This guy was to Woody Allen what Paul Glacy was to Steranko. And he was just a genius. Hang on a second.
Because the reason I asked the question is because back then you had to actually create a comic book. You and another guy, dude had to draw it out. You know what I mean? It's like there wasn't no digital. There wasn't no file exchange over the internet. There wasn't any of that. You had to actually create a physical comic.
I'm thinking of Rand Holmes.
Okay.
And if you don't know who Rand Holmes is, I urge you to seek him out and look at his illustrations. They will blow your mind. And Rand never achieved the fame that his talent deserved, because he was brilliantly talented and not a bad writer either. He had his own title, which he created. No, it's not Joe Average. Here we go. Say something, Pops.
I was waiting to hear from you, but yeah, like I said, the reason I asked, because it lends back to the original question. Creating a comic book nowadays, one guy can get a little AI help do the writing, a little more AI help do the, you know what I mean? It's like it's not the same. Creating a comic book today doesn't have the same integrity that creating a comic book had when, back in the day when you guys had to actually create something physical to send to the printers.
Well, that's true, except for all the comic books that are created by hand today. And that's why this huge market exists outside regular channels. And I'm speaking of crowdfunding, Comicsgate, other publishers. Rand Holmes created a character called Harold Head. And Harold Head was what you expected. He was a dope smoking adventurer. And the stories were quite epic, actually, and involved not only humor, but pathos as well. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to creating your comic. And we do that first panel. When I sat down to create Nexus, I knew I wanted a science fiction type character. My publisher wanted a superhero. So I blended them together and I came up with Nexus, Horatio Hellpop, a reluctant executioner of mass murderers 500 years in the future. And all this fell into place in my head while I was worrying about that first page. And then I drew the panel. I had the square and then I drew the first panel. And I said, what's happening here? Well, this dictator is having a party. He does not expect to be interrupted. He's a mass murderer. He's somebody like Stalin. And that's how it started. And I drew that panel. And then I thought, well, what happens next? And this is the genius of drawing the comic out by hand. Unless you have a script ahead of time, and I do full script now, but I'm at a stage where I don't need to move like an inchworm from panel to panel, which I did, because it forced me to think about what happens next, what is compelling, what will hold the reader's attention, how do I make the reader care? And that's the most important question in fiction. How do I make the reader care? Because if the reader doesn't care, he's not going to turn the page. And then I thought, well, in the next panel, somebody runs into the room and says, Master, there's a lunatic at the front gates and he's coming after you. And I just proceeded like an inchworm, panel by panel, asking myself, does this sound right? Does it sound the way real people talk? And when I look back at those books today, I'm proud of them. But at the same time, I think, I see 1,000 ways I could have improved that dialogue. Mm-hmm. Whenever I look at anything I write, I find a way to improve it by taking words out. So I moved panel by panel until I got to Nexus appearance. I drew the first 12 pages out by hand completely. And then I gave them to Steve Rude, and the dude penciled and inked and lettered them. And then we showed them to the publisher, and the publisher said, hell yeah, now we need 30 more pages. So we were off and running. And that's the first black and white Nexus, which is available now in the Nexus Omnibus that we are running at baroncomics.com. The first issue is at the printer. It's oversized. It's bigger than a regular comic. I think it's the size of this envelope. It's 888 pages long.
Damn.
Yeah, I've seen
That's a thick book.
It is a big book. The proofs are magnificent. And you can still order it if you go to baroncomics.com and look for the Nexus Omnibus. After that, I wanted to, well, I ran into Jeff Butler. I said, Jeff, what do you want to draw? I said, well, I want to draw druids. So I wrote this 12-page story. No, it was an 8-page story about a druid who is so cantankerous and antisocial that the other druids took up a collection and had some witches put him in a coma. And then they hired some Vikings to take him to the edge of the world, which is to the west, and just drop him off the edge of the world and then sail back if you make it. Of course, they didn't come to the edge of the world. They came to America and they carried him inland to what we now know as Wisconsin. And Jeff drew it. It was beautiful. And I took it and showed it to the boys. And my publisher said, nah, we don't want a druid. We want a costume crime fighter. And I said to myself, why would anybody put on a costume and fight crime? They'd have to be crazy. Boing. And that's how the Badger was born. I'm not going to go into the details about that. I like to get back to the nuts and bolts of creating a comic. I would advise people, if you're going to do a superhero comic, you have to be exceptional to rise above the sea of forgettable superhero comics that are out there. I'm not going to show you any, but I have tons of them in my house that people send me. And I never criticize people in public. I don't do it because they're sincere. They love comics. They're trying their best. Everybody wants to make a comic, and everybody does. I'll be happy to consult in private, but my job as a critic is to highlight the good. I don't do that so much in comics because I work in comics, but I do it in music all the time. I found out as a young kid that I could get free records by writing about them, and I've been doing it ever since.
You see, look, there's always a method to madness, right? Now, one thing I wanted to ask, like way back in the beginning when you were doing this with companies and with other people, did you had the benefit, or I mean, as an early writer, as a beginner, you had the benefit of an editor, correct?
Yes. Well, yes. You know, and because of Nexus, I started getting calls. I was asked to do Punisher. I was asked to do Flash. And I worked for the big two for 7 or 8 years. And I can't remember a single incidence of editorial interference. Maybe once when they wanted me to change a name. And one of the reasons, I think, is I knew what to do with the Punisher exactly as soon as I was asked. I approached it as a straight crime comic. And for 3 years, there were no dinosaurs, time travel, barbarians, or anything like that.
Yep.
And I think it's a mistake to mix the Punisher up with the rest of the Marvel universe. He doesn't belong. He belongs in a realistic world. I was appalled.
Did you write the storyline where he mixes with Spider-Man and Nightcrawler, where 129? Good, because I feel the same way you do. I think that the Punisher was his own entity, his own crime fighting thing in Marvel, and they didn't need to Spider-Man the Punisher, and they didn't need to Punisher the Spider-Man.
No,
they didn't need to do that.
No,
you know.
And
they were putting him in a world with all these superhero or super villains that could truly just squash it, and making him, you know, into even more of a mythological character than he should have been. He should have been just like a Mac Bolan, an executioner.
Well, that was the inspiration. If anybody familiar with Pulp Fiction, the Punisher is the easiest character in the world to get right. And yes, they can't seem to do it. And that goes for the movies too. I was so appalled at what Marvel had done to the Punisher in the last couple of years, dragging him through the mud, changing the logo, emasculating him. that I wrote Private American to show what the Punisher should be.
The inspiration to create yet another comic. Now, the reason for the editor question is, do you run your stuff through an editor today?
Yes, I do. Everybody needs an editor. Hey, Pops, pop that Private American cover up there, would you?
I can do that. Whoa.
That's number one.
That's
number one. It was rapturously received. In fact, it earned me charges of racism by insane people who have never read anything I wrote. Private American 2 is in the works. It's twice as good as Private American 1. It's going to blow your mind, folks. I wish I could tell you what's in it, but I want it to be a surprise, and it's at least 6 months down the road. However,
the story there, though, was definitely what I was getting at was you need an editor. I don't care how good you think you are.
Yeah. I do want to show you this. This is what happened when we announced Private American before anyone had read it.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah, I love to show
you.
you.
Actually, me and Mike and RJ and Chris did a show about this.
Yeah.
You know, about the daily KOS. I mean, the daily POS. And,
and what's funny is this woman, Star Minion, who wrote the article, has never read anything I wrote. I didn't even know where she got the notion that I was doing this, except that we did mention that my Private American was down on the southern border, and this was 5 years ago, intercepting human traffickers, drug smugglers, and terrorists who were just pouring across the border unchecked. He's a veteran. He lived in Texas, and he says, well, I just can't stand by and let this happen. So he goes down there, and when we first meet him, on the very first page, he's interrupting a child rapist. And we knew, you know, every woman who crosses that border, at least 90% of them are raped. This is a fact. The Border Patrol has verified this. The women themselves have verified this. There are still 200,000 children that crossed the border during the last administration that are unaccounted for.
Yep. They are finding some, though. I'm proud to say every now and then I catch a little glimpse of, we just found 200 kids over here. It's like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Take that down. Take that down. I don't
know why we went there.
People have had enough of that. People have had enough of that.
Sometimes you got to, but sometimes you got to remind people who the bad guy really is.
Yeah.
Okay. The black hats are the people that are trying to stop the party of no. The party of no, Mike. Don't be part of the party of no.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like everything that they're telling us we can't do. You can't do. You can't do. You can't do. No. Don't hang with those people. Be you. Be creative.
Which brings us to the most important rule of creativity. If you're doing fiction, movies, or comic, and that's your first job is to entertain. You can entertain. If you do entertain, then you can tell them any message you want. And two of the greatest examples are To Kill a Mockingbird and The Grapes of Wrath. They're both brilliant books, wildly entertaining. And because they were so wildly entertaining, they were made into brilliant movies. Mm-hmm. That's how you do it. But you don't lead with a lecture, which is what we see too often these days in popular entertainment. So remember that, folks. Your number one job is to entertain. Well, how do you entertain? You create a memorable character that the audience cares about. They want to know what happens. Sherlock Holmes is the archetypal example. But there are many. Spider-Man is a memorable character. Many people care about him because he was written so well by so many writers. And that's why they follow his adventures. It's entertaining. He's exciting. He's romantic. He's a hero. He's got all that good stuff going for him. Number two is...
You're killing me, Mike. You keep talking about stuff that I'm actually reading.
Good for you.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you look, man, sometimes it's just wavelength.
Okay? Proof.
I don't read Sherlock Holmes because Mike Perrin said you should read Sherlock Holmes. I'm reading Sherlock Holmes because I got this huge collection of Sherlock Holmes books recently, and I'm reading them.
That's the way to do it. All right. Number one, entertain. Number two, show, don't tell. This applies to prose as much as to comics. Any information you can impart to the reader to advance the story without words, you should. Save your words for characterization and sometimes to advance the plot. Sometimes you get some exposition where the boss says, listen, we're going to be invaded by an army of ninjas in 1 hour. Everybody get ready. That's permissible. But then you don't say, well, here come the ninja. You show the ninja coming if you can see them,
Yes.
because the ninja are supposed to be invisible.
It's supposed to be.
But they're not invisible, are they? No, they always wear those ridiculous suits.
They always got them black suits on.
I know.
You can spot them anywhere except in the dark.
Yeah. In fact, there's a scene in the new Comicsgate Kings group book that I wrote in which she is fighting off 4 ninja, and she's saying, ninja, you call yourself ninja. You're supposed to be invisible. I can't swing a dead cat up here without hitting 6 ninja. Why don't you dress as late night comedians? Billy loved that.
The character she, by the way, Billy Tucci,
Yep.
one of the few characters that I've taken pencil to paper and drawn.
Yeah, and Billy has a campaign going on right now.
Mhm.
So getting back to how do you create your comic, whether you can draw or not, I advise you, if you have a 22-page story in mind, draw it out on 22 pages. Don't draw it out on 50 pages describing everything. Draw it out on 22 pages to make sure all the dialogue and captions and directions fit on the page. This will please the editor, the artist, and the reader. Research. The internet is the greatest gift to writers since the beginning of the printing press. And I use it constantly when I'm writing, especially when I'm working on novels, but I use it when I'm writing comics too. For instance, I'm working on a book now called Calico, which was created by Harold German. He's a good friend of mine. Calico is about an animal avenger. He's Punisher for animals. These stories are grim. But
animal Punisher. I mean, Punisher for animals.
Yeah, well, if you mistreat an animal, look out, because he'll deal with you very harshly. And when I say harshly, I mean a lot more harshly than the Punisher would.
Okay. Another question about the creation of when you're drawing out these pages, do you give the artist leeway for the page layout?
Absolutely.
Okay. See, and that's another thing, people. Let the people who do the art and do the page layout that draws the eye, because that's what they do. You know what I mean? I'm figuring when you send it, you kind of have an idea, but you give them full, just make sure everything on this page goes on this page. I don't care how you lay it out, right?
Well, some people have an intuitive understanding of that, like the dude. He'd do layouts in the margins of the pages that I did. And I just showed you the page. It's not that big. But he understood what had to go on the page, and he got it. The only time I get really particular is when I'm choreographing a fight scene. And although I no longer draw them out by hand, I will if the artist wants it. And also, I'll research the internet. I'll find the technique being displayed in a video, and I'll send the artist the video, and then I'll describe where I want him to stop the video and what to close in on, because there's a lot more than punching and kicking. There are joint locks, there are hip throws, there's all sorts of stuff that goes into martial arts that's never pictured. It's fascinating, it's physical, and it's interesting. And when you do a martial arts sequence, you have to hold your camera steady, like in a good kung fu movie. They don't zoom in on the protagonist's face while he grunts and lashes out. They show the two fighters duking it out in real time. And if they're skilled, your jaw just drops. And I have to say the Ip Man movies are among the best kung fu movies ever made for that. especially Ip Man 4, which features Scott Adkins as the bad guy. Now, if you know who Scott Adkins is, you're going to run out and watch that movie. He's a martial artist and an actor from England. I think his best movie is Undefeated, number 4. His name is Boyka, and as he wins, he's Russian. The crowd chants Boyka, Boyka, Boyka. Well, Undefeated number 4 contains some of the most amazing martial arts I've ever seen in my life, and it's also got a lot of heart and soul.
Well,
It's
I know,
well
like,
worth watching.
you talk about, there's locks and hip throws and stuff like that. I've seen a couple dozen different depictions of somebody getting thrown, right? And it's always just, whoa. There's never proper foot placement. The hip is never underneath the guy. There's never the actual what's needed to make that move happen. You know what I mean? It's always just whoosh. Like, it ain't that simple, people. If your feet ain't placed in the right spot and you ain't got your hip under the guy, he ain't going nowhere. Okay, you're gonna be looking down at you kind of funny, like, what are you trying to do?
And that's where the videos come in, because you can find anything on the internet. But let's break away from martial arts for a minute to military maneuvers. If I'm doing a military maneuver, as there is in this Comicsgate Kings group meetup, it takes place in Tiananmen Square with a Chinese tank. I don't say Chinese tank. I look up Chinese tanks, I find the image of the tank I want, and I send that image to the artist. The same with outdoor settings. I don't say...
You find out what model tank it is too, right? It's not just Chinese tank.
Well, oh yeah, that's why I send the photo. It's very specific. It's a particular model that casts a particular projectile, and that goes for airplanes as well. And anything, 4-wheel drive troop carriers, a motorcycle. I'm working on a script now for biker, and the bikes have to be accurate, but that's all right because I got a biker drawing it.
All right. You see, yeah, go to those who know. This is one of my main rules in every aspect of life. If it's something I don't intimately know and have hands-on experience, I'm going to defer to somebody who knows and get the advice and guidance from them. I'm not just going to go screw it all up and then go, hey, Mike, can you fix this for me? I'm going to go to you ahead of time and go, how do I make sure this looks good from the beginning?
Yeah. And that's where the beauty of the internet comes in, because you can find virtually anything these days, especially with AI. And I've been using AI a lot just for information. Like this morning, I looked up what's the largest size truck that can enter a national forest. And I learned that that large size trucks are banned from national forests, that they have a weight limit for dirt roads as well. And this has to do with tenure number 4 that I'm working on with my friend Blaine Pardo. There are 3 tenure novels out. It's the tenure motto is cancel culture is canceled. And it's a vigilante book. Let me show you. It's been doing very well. Here we go.
Yeah.
I'll show you the last one. You folks remember Peanut the Squirrel?
Yes, we do.
Oh, we remember Peanut the Squirrel.
You want to give a little background on Peanut for those who don't?
Yeah. There's this guy living in New York State who had a farm in the country, and he loved animals. And he went out one day, and there was a mother squirrel was run over by a car, and next to her was a baby squirrel. So he took it in and raised it and fed it. And when it seemed healthy enough, he took it outside to let it go, but it wouldn't leave. It kept coming back to the house, and he realized it was now an indoor squirrel. So he kept the squirrel. He named it Peanut. And he did a weekly podcast about Peanut the squirrel and anything else he wanted to talk about. Well, it turned out this guy was a conservative. He wasn't a flamethrower. He wasn't advocating for the abolition of whole peoples. He just had conservative points of view. And people didn't like that, especially a woman in Minneapolis who became aware of his podcast. So this woman in Minneapolis phoned the New York State Police and the Natural Resources Department and said, this man has an unlicensed squirrel at his home. So 12 officers in full SWAT equipment descended on his farm. They seized his squirrel. They seized a pet raccoon he had, and they questioned them for 6 hours.
About a squirrel?
Yeah. Then they took the squirrel and the raccoon to test for rabies, even though they've been living in the house for years. And the only way to test for rabies in New York is to kill the animal.
Mm-hmm.
So they killed him.
Mm-hmm. And he's the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, put that cover up, would you, Pops?
Yeah. Oh.
This is the book I'm talking about.
I was going to say, this had to be about a forest fire.
Well, it's because one group of radicals, and I'm not going to tell you the inspiration, but you can guess who they are. They say, well, we got to get this guy. I mean, it's not enough that the police have put him on their radar and they've killed his pets. He doesn't deserve to live. So they set out to set his house on fire. And that's where that illustration comes from. It's in the book. The next one, I can't even talk about the next one because it's sure to incite too much outrage. But we're nearing the end of it, and I don't think it'll be out before the end of the year. But you never know. The first 3 all came out this year. It's astonishing to me. I'm going to have 4 novels out this year. I don't know how I did it. Maybe even 5.
That's work ethic, people. That's work ethic.
Yeah, well, the problem is I can't sleep, and when I can't sleep, I write. So I get more done by 9 o'clock in the morning than most people do all day. And then, one of the reasons is I'm stuck here at home. I'm recovering from some surgery. I'm fine. I can stand. I can walk. I do go outside. I walk around. I don't pursue my regular activities like I used to, but I will in the spring. And in the meantime, I write. I've been writing faster than I ever have before. And it's funny because the writing is better. I can see the improvement in my own writing. This is for writers who want to write novels. Once you understand story, you don't make any wrong turns. What does that mean? Well, there are many things that go into story. And I mentioned a couple of them, a fascinating character, a fascinating scenario like Jurassic Park, or a seductive narrative voice like Michael Chabon or Anthony Burgess. If you read those 2 writers, you know that they have a very unique, seductive voice. The way they use words, it's not the way normal people talk, but it leads you along from word to word because it's got a rhythm and a melody all its own. They're not jarring words. They're words that you've never heard in that formation before that strike a chord and say, yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why you read authors like that. Raymond Chandler was somewhat the same way. He created Philip Marlowe as the archetype of the modern noir detective, a tarnished knight whom down these mean streets must go. He himself is not good, but he protects the good. He's the inspiration for so many characters, including Josh Pratt, who's the hero of 11 biker novels that I wrote. But now we're getting into novel writing, which is a different animal from comic book writing. I won't lie, comic books are easier, but they do take a great deal of thought. And I've done so many of them that I understand the format now, and I go over them many times to make sure that they rewrite. This is my wife, Ann, without whom I would not be able to do any of this, including talking on the internet. That's Pops. Baby.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Yeah.
Okay, baby. All right.
Give my love, Mike.
I will.
All right.
So anyhow, 4 novels this month. Not this month, this year, but I hope that Seer will be out before the end of the year. Seer is my most ambitious novel. It's about a psychic who goes to Hollywood to expose pedophiles.
Yes. I like that. I like that right from the get-go.
It's a thermonuclear bomb. It's a long book. It just poured out of me. I was excited about it. And we are in the midst of a campaign for Bronze Star #2. Here we go.
That right there, Mike?
That's it.
That right there. I got you.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and play this trailer right now, though. How about that?
Do it.
Here we go.
In the lawless, unforgiving Old West, one man tried to bury his past, only to discover that some nightmares never stay buried. Newly appointed Sheriff Harley Brogdon thought he'd left trouble behind, until ancient terrors from Native American legend clawed their way out of the cold earth. Bronze Star 2 is the thrilling continuation of the critically acclaimed Weird Western series by Eisner Award-winning writer Mike Barron and legendary artist Pat Broderick, co-creator of Creature Commandos. Return to Cobb's Gap, where every bullet fired is a deadly gamble, and every shadow may conceal an unimaginable horror. The legend rides again, deeper into darkness, into a series of hellish nightmares that will haunt you long after the final page. 2 chilling journeys into the heart of the Weird West await you in Bronze Star 2. Pre-order the pulse-pounding sequel now at fundmycomic.com.
Yeah, do it. Do all that stuff that he just said. Is that Chris that does that?
Yeah, let's go over 20
voiceover?
grand this weekend, folks. I say this with confidence. All you have to do is look for reviews of Bronze Star 1. Just look for any review of Bronze Star 1 by Pat Broderick and I, and read that review, and you're going to want Bronze Star 2, which is even better. It's the greatest work of Pat's career, and that's really saying something. Because Pat is just a genius. If some 25-year-old kid had come in and put one of his pages down on the editor's desk, the editor would say, "Holy shit, what do you want to draw?" But for Pat to produce this at his age, it's a miracle. And that's because Pat chose the story. We'd wanted to work together for years, and I said, "Pat, what do you want to draw?" That's a Rags Morales cover there on the right, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I want to do a Western, but it has to have a supernatural element." And so Bronze Star was born. The oversized edition in black and white. If you love comics, you got to get this book. You can look at those pages. They're a completely different experience from the colored version. You see every line that Pat drew. You see every stitch in the clothes, the pebbles in the street, the star on the sheriff's jacket, the spurs on his boots, every shingle on the roof. And if you look in the background, you'll see the mountains. And you'll see the trees on the mountains. And beyond that, you'll see the sky and the clouds in the sky and any birds that happen to be flying around. It's just astonishing.
It's stars. If it's nighttime, look, I see it all. This is an amazing looking book. But I mean, the first one was great.
Stop right there, Pat.
Look at that. Look at that.
That's an original. Pat's offering 3 of these. That's the inside, front cover, and frontis page. He drew that by hand and inked it. That's the only one of those that exists. He's done 3 of those. They're going to be priceless. They're $750 a piece. I think he's already sold one.
That's
maybe,
beautiful.
Yeah.
We'll find out when we get down here. It'll tell us if it's gone or not. You got 11 backers on the Treasury collection. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but the basic book is great too. I'm very proud of the story and the art. People buy my books because once they've read 1 or 2, they say, "This guy is wildly entertaining." And that's how I'm building my brand. It's not just the art, although I've been blessed with front rank artists the whole time. Hang on a second.
Nope, nobody backed them yet, but yes, they're there. Look at that. The retail bundle. Look, you got to have one, people. Put
Yeah.
your retail tiers on your campaign.
And the book is being sold through Filbo Distribution. So if you want the book, I think the cutoff date for orders is it may be it may be Monday. And I think if you contact your comic book shop and say you want Bronze Star, he'll still be able to. You know what? I think I might be wrong about that. But anyhow, it will be available perennially on my site, which is baroncomics.com or bronzestarcomic.com.
There you go. You don't mind if I do that again, do you?
No, what I got a better interview for you if you want.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Here, I'll show you. I think, is this it? No, that ain't it. That ain't it.
I was going to show you a different campaign.
Oh yeah, show me a different. Oh yeah, you got a campaign. Show me that campaign.
I was going to say, can I get a minute up in here to talk about what I got going on? Because although we're not approaching 20,000, we have something over on Fund My Comic that is exclusive. I got a munchkin behind me, Mike. You see that?
Where's that munchkin?
There's a munchkin behind me up there.
I see the munchkin.
Look,
Be very careful, Pops.
we're about to look. No, here we go. This is the Goodbye to Romance art tribute. And the reason we have a Fund My Comic campaign is because we have a exclusive wraparound cover that you can only get on Fund My Comic. And I'm going to be doing stuff like this as we go forward, but this is the A cover over here, Goodbye to Romance, cover art by GPG. And I just put a few of the samples of art in here. This is Lou Pons. This is Jay Moore's and Gilbert Perez. These are all people that are, associated with Madness campaigns or, Madness people. But we have probably close to 45 pieces of art in this book. Everybody, man. Les Garner from Homestead, Edwin Badillo, the guy that originally drew CRoM, the first guy, the guy who created the image that we've come to love. He's in there. Gilbert Perez from Path of the Pale Riders, Jerome Hines, MAGA Man, Rob Davis from Silverline. Just a bunch of people put art in this book. One of them is my grandson, the guy who's over my shoulder right now, hanging out. Okay.
Show us his illustration, Pops.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that. This is put out by this is the Barkwire, by the way. So
as I hear it,
that would be Murphy saying hi to somebody. I don't know who. But this is all done by Critical Blast.
I think my mom's here too.
Oh, your mom's here. I'll tell her I said hi. We got some more art down here. Les Garner's piece right there, and man, Jeff Muth did this piece right here. This is Isaac. This is the guy who was just over my shoulder. That's his original Ozzy art right there that he wanted to do for the dedication page that I wrote. The foreword is written by Nem, our boy David Howard that does the show Nem in the AM on the network. He did the foreword. We got a couple. There's Nem right there, right? And Dash Hooper from NFL Chalk Talk and Dash of Reading. A couple other shows on the network that we have. They're happy with what they got. Isaac's really happy, guys, and we've had a couple of people that have had their books sent here so that he can sign them, Mike. And then I'm shipping them out to them, right? So he's actually going to be signing his first books.
Brilliant.
Yeah, in a couple days. He's like, I'm practicing my signature.
Does he want to draw for a living?
Well, I mean, the dude does everything. He plays football. He plays baseball. He's percussion in the band. He's over here drawing stuff with Grandpa.
Gotcha.
I mean, all the options are going to be there.
Sort it out.
All the options will be there. He's not closing the door on stuff. You know what I mean? When I told him what we were doing, he went right in his room and started drawing. And it's funny because his stepmom later on, when I showed her what he drew, she's like, I was wondering what he was doing in there. He was in there for hours. It's good stuff, Mike. Pass it on to the kids, people. Pass the opportunities on to the next generation once in a while. When he said he wanted to do a drawing, there was no way I was going to say no. You know what I mean? I was, oh, hell yeah, do one, boy. You know, encourage the munchkins, man. We're going to need a next generation of comic artists, people. You know?
Yep.
We're going to need that. And I'm going to play that trailer real quick just because it's funny. And we got it from a friend of ours at 30 something media made this for us, and he just made it for us, Mark. You know what I mean? He's like, check this out, Pops. And I was like, can I use that? And this is also a reward in the campaign. Anybody backs the book will get this MP4 as well. So check this out.
Ozzy, what are you doing? Come and have a look at this lovely book that was sent over.
You're wrapping in the burning.
Oh, go on and spit the back out your mouth. No one can understand you like that.
Say how 5 dentists and all.
Oh, well, that's not much better. Ozzy, why don't you sing to me? I can always understand you when you sing to me.
Fucking my brains. What is this my publisher sent me? Inked in black with art so sweet.
So what do you think? Do you like it?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
I wish that I had seen Ozzy.
I'm being summoned, but keep talking. I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's see. We're plowing on how to do a comic. I would say if you have a story you want to tell, and it's not superhero, a comic might be the medium you're looking for. A comic is suitable for any type of story, and this is irony, except for horror. Comics are the worst medium for horror because you turn the page, you see the monster, and you stop to admire the monster, and then the wife says dinner, and you close the book and set it aside. So there's no real sense of menace when you read a comic, and that's why movies and books are the best mediums for horror. Movies especially, because they control the pacing, the light, and especially the sound. You don't understand how important sound is to a horror movie until you notice it.
Yes. But the funniest one, the music stands out the most, that's most memorable, would be the Jaws, the prelude to dying in Jaws. It gets got more intense. But yeah, this stuff was all really important. The soundtrack, the music, the score, all that stuff's really important in a horror movie, man, because it's all designed to get you to jump,
Yep.
you know. And if they don't accomplish that, then they blew it. They didn't do it right.
And a good horror novel can do the same thing through the seduction of words by drawing you in. If the writer is skilled enough, you'll tune everything else out and enter the story. And that's what you want to do. And that's what a good writer can do. A bad writer keeps popping you out of the story by using awkward phrasing that's not the way real people talk and doesn't have a particular lilt to it, like Michael Chabon or Anthony Burgess, to name a few. There's another guy, too, James Ellroy, the great crime writer. He wrote L.A. Confidential. You may have seen the movie. But Ellroy was a unique crime writer until he wrote himself out of the game in the last 10 years because his plots became so convoluted, they became impossible to follow. But before that, he wrote like a machine gun. Hale entered the room. He saw the dog on the ground. He saw the woman weeping at the table. He pulled out his pistol and shot the woman. He left the room. The dog howled. And it was like a machine gun. And I'm just making that up. But they are hard-boiled crime. He also wrote The Black Dahlia, which is based on a true case.
Ooh, I know that one.
Yeah. Did you see the movie?
Yes,
Yeah.
read the book, all that.
Yeah, the movie's entertaining, but it's about 180 degrees off of reality.
You have to keep in mind, Mike. I spent 6 years on an enforced vacation. I read everything.
Oh, good for you. Oh, you read Elroy.
I read everything, bro.
All right. Well,
All your Elric books. All your Elric adaptions. I read those real books. And
still
then
have them?
Oh yeah, I have some of your comics. No, I don't. I only have a couple Elric books. See, my whole collection got ravaged like about 10 years ago, and I had to start all over.
Do you need an Elric graphic novel? Do you still have those?
I'll tell you which ones I have.
All right, because I'll be happy to send you one.
I think what I have is like a part 2 of this and a part 3 of that. And you know what I mean? It's like nothing complete, But
Let me
there's
know.
like three or four different story arcs, right?
Well, Pops, that's about all the sage wisdom I have in me at this time.
I have a little piece of sage wisdom.
Spill it.
If you need guidance or advice, or you don't feel like something feels right, you don't have an editor, or you don't have a mentor or somebody to go to, find one. Find somebody to bounce your stuff off that ain't just going to go, oh, that's the best thing I ever read. Find somebody that will be honest with you. It will help you in the end. I promise you, it'll bring you to a better final place with your campaign or with your project. It'll bring you to a finer result. Don't be afraid to go ask somebody like Mike or an artist, somebody in the group or whatever. How do you do this? How do you do that? We have shows that help you learn these things. We have shows put together by writers. We have shows put together by artists. Les Garner does a show Wednesday afternoon, and it's basically teaching you. Super Saturday later tonight. Well, not later tonight. Sorry about that. On Saturday night, Super Saturday with Jerry Hines, it's an instructional art show. He is teaching you how to draw and how to see perception in depth and all that, right? He's teaching you this stuff. We have shows on the network that can make your project better. Don't be afraid to check them out. Don't be afraid to pick these people's brains.
I should add that Steve Rude has a drawing tutorial on YouTube. If you look for Steve Rude on YouTube, and he puts up a new video every week on different aspects of painting and drawing.
That's what we're talking about. Now you tell him, Mike, if he wants to bring that over to the network.
I'll mention it to him.
Yeah, we got a spot for it because that's what we do. We want to grow and we want to help you guys put out a better product too. It's and some of these shows are really entertaining too. If you watch Jerry draw on Saturday nights, it's not just you need to do this, you need to do that. He's entertaining. He's talking about stuff while he's drawing as well as teaching you how to draw. So, check this stuff out. Get better, get best, get Mike Barron.
Thanks, Pops.
You bet. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. You know what I'm saying? Like, really have a great day. Peace.
I'm curious, Bill. How'd a Missouri lawman end up all the way out here? Back in '62, I rode with Grant and we went through Memphis on our way to Vicksburg. I remember thinking, Memphis is a nice town if it wasn't on fire. I wouldn't mind going back there. After Roy moved home to Missouri and some damn fool talked me into being a lawman. I didn't see that coming, but I was good at it. Wearing a badge and cracking heads. I don't know, I just had an itch, man. Just felt like there was something I was missing. Something else I wanted to do. So I came out here.
How'd you get to running with Shooter then?
I met Shooter in Chattanooga. In lieu of a court-martial, he was on disciplinary leave. Most people didn't like Shooter, but we always got along pretty good. Sooner or later, every man's got to make a choice. On the back end of that choice is where a man finds out what he's made of.
In a world where sequels and prequels and derivative slop rule the TV and movie landscape, one magazine dares to make fun of them all. One mag to roast them all, one mag to troll them, one mag to break their balls, and in the ratings roll them.
Cut!
If you missed the live viewing of any Madness Entertainment Group production, you can find all our content on Roku or as a member of this channel. We'll see you next time on the Madness Entertainment